Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is me, the Mysterious Cameraman, and today we're going to be ranking the Moon Knight episodes from worst to best. This Moon Knight series is very good, yet has a lot of flaws, and I want to address those in this video because it was still a very great series, and I really enjoyed it. Overall, though, I think this episode was really great. Yesterday, I did post a YouTube short explaining my thoughts on the finale of the episode, but today I'm going to go in full depth about my favorite and least favorite parts of the Moon Knight Season 1. In last place is going to be Moon Knight Season 1, Episode 3. In my opinion, I do not like this episode for a lot of reasons, but a lot of the reasons aren't really reasons you'd expect, and one of those reasons is actually because of how messy it is. And some would say the finale of this season is messy, but in my opinion, this episode is even more, because this episode is going from so many different things that I kind of got lost in it, and I didn't understand what was even going on until it was too late. The other thing is that I've seen so many of these Marvel Disney Plus shows at this point that it didn't even, it felt so like the others that it didn't even feel like original. And I haven't even rewatched this episode, but I've rewatched all the others, meaning that, I don't know, this episode just didn't really, interest me as much. And also, this episode, it, takes away from some of the better stuff in the series. But overall, I think it was good. In 5th place is Moon Knight Episode 1, The Goldfish Problem. This one is also an episode I like almost as much as Episode 3. But the reason this is a bit higher is because it has more character development and it isn't as quick-paced. It's very slow and you don't really know what's happening. You know exactly what's happening, and at the end you only see Moon Knight for 30 seconds, but those 30 seconds are well earned through that entire episode. As in the other episodes you just kind of see Moon Knight, but in this episode it feels so earned to finally see it, because in all the other Disney Plus shows we kind of saw that character there, and we didn't really get to see stuff like that in this episode, which is something I thought was really cool. But yeah, I thought it was just really cool how you saw so many different things in that spectrum, and I think this episode was so original compared to any other Disney Plus Marvel show. For me, in 4th place is gonna have to be Moon Knight Episode 2. The reason I like this episode is only because towards the end, I like the entire episode really, because I like Khonshu throughout the entire series, and I also like some of the characters that appear so much throughout the series, and I feel like this episode really gets to show every single character that is in every single thing, and that's something I really like about this episode, because I like all the Moon Knight characters, which is why I think it's so cool to see them all again. And even though this is only the 2nd episode, you get to meet every character that you're going to see for the rest of the series, because no new characters are really introduced until the finale of the 6th episode is in Jake Lockley. But overall, I feel like this episode really does it for a Moon Knight thing, because it has such a great story, and even ends with such a great finale to it, and sets up the entire rest of the series. And I feel like this episode just I think this episode was the best episode, but didn't have enough story and things that make it better than the other 3. In 3rd place is going to be Moon Knight Episode 6, Monsters and Gods. Gods and Monsters. And the reason I like this one is, even though it felt so rushed, and there were things that I wanted to see more, I think that this episode at least did some things that I really enjoyed. For example, I did actually like the giant Khonshu versus Ahmed fight. Even though it was brief, I liked seeing Khonshu do something compared to just being do this for me, do that for me. And I think that was something really cool that we got to see from Khonshu. And the other thing I think is really cool to see from Khonshu in this episode is getting to see how he is able to, I think in this episode he returns and Ahmed comes in, and even though it's such a big giant stupid monster fight, I think that this show at least has a decent finale where it is quick-paced and it is crazy, and maybe some things could be developed earlier, but I really like that monster fight, and I like how easily it is for the characters Mark and Steven to switch between each other. And I feel like that is something I think is so cool about it, because seeing these characters like swap between each other in like a matter of seconds is something no show has really ever tried to do, which is something I really respect for it. And I really like Ahmed and Khonshu fighting, and I think it is a decent finale to the series. In second place is going to be Moon Knight Season 1, Episode 4, The Tomb. This episode was good. It is a bit slow at the beginning, and it is a bit slow at the end, but overall, it does, like, a really good job at developing Mark and Steven, and how well they are in this series. And that's something I think is, like, that the series kind of needed. And even though both episodes 4 and 5 did not have any Moon Knight, it was able to develop Mark and Steven, which is, like, their alter identity, which I think is, like, an interesting take on a series, to not have the main character in it. But the other thing I think is cool is it feels like Loki Season 1, Episode 4, The Nexus event, with, like, such a crazy ending. And I feel like that's something that this show would have been, like, so great with if it was executed differently. In first place is Moon Knight Season 1, Episode 5, Asylum. This episode I did not like at first, but slowly I started to like it. And at first it was, like, weird because it was just, like, Taret and all the other characters just, like, there. But in this episode, you really get to see their past in some really interesting ways, to see these characters' past, kind of like WandaVision Episode 8. Because, like, it really lets you see what, like, has happened to these people, and it makes it so interesting to see all these different memories, which is, I don't think we've ever really seen another Disney Plus show, which is why I think it's, like, so cool to really get to see what it's like to be in that zone. And I think it's also cool to see, like, the scene where, like, even Steven dies. It ends. I think the ending is so great, and I think this entire episode is just done so well. And I did not expect it. I expected it to kind of fail, but this episode really, really did great. Overall, that was my Moon Knight Season 1 review. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.